Coming up today, with less than 1 month remaining before Koreans head to the polls for a general election, the ruling party unveils its 5 election pledges, which mainly focus on reinvigorating the economy. Korea's Go Grandmaster Se-dol earns a stunning victory over Google's artificial intelligence program AlphaGo in Game 4 of their 5-match series. Plus, a huge explosion in the centre of the Turkish capital, Ankara. Authorities say at least 32 people have been killed in what appeared to have been a suicide car bombing. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 14th of March. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to start with a countdown to Korea's April 13th general election. With just over 4 weeks remaining before the nation heads to the polls, the ruling Se-dol party has announced its 5 election pledges. Unveiling them at a meeting on Monday morning, party chairman Kim Moo-sung said the ruling party will work harder to narrow the gap between the rich and poor. The party also pledges to create more jobs through government-led deregulation, create effective policies to support the younger generations and foster talent, complete the government's labour market reforms and tackle Korea's chronically low birth rate by establishing more daycare centres. Now, on the other side, the main opposition Minju Party of Korea appears resigned to the fact that its proposal to merge with the minor opposition People's Party ahead of the election is unrealistic. The founder and co-leader of the People's Party, Ahn Cheol-soo, remains sternly opposed to any alliance. South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se has stressed the need, now more than ever, for collective diplomatic efforts in dealing with North Korea. The minister said Pyongyang continues to make nuclear threats even after beginning the year with a 4th nuclear test and long-range missile launch. Now, Minister Yoon's remarks were part of an opening speech on Monday to an annual meeting of the heads of overseas diplomatic missions at the Foreign Ministry. Topics expected to top the agenda during the 5-day meeting of around 170 diplomats include Seoul's response to North Korea's threats and diplomacy for peace and unification on the Korean peninsula. Other topics will include how to utilise diplomatic support to revitalise the economy and ensure the safety of South Korean nationals abroad in the wake of growing global terror threats. Russia plans to put extra effort into persuading North Korea to return to the negotiating table. In an interview with a Russian TV channel on Sunday, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov criticised North Korea for its nuclear ambitions and threats, but said Moscow will work to influence Pyongyang to return to dialogue and to cooperate with the International Atomic Energy Agency. He also emphasised the need for North Korea to abide by the latest set of UN Security Council sanctions, referring to them as a completely reasonable response to the North's provocations. Lavrov also warned North Korea that no country will be willing to be a protective ally if the regime continues with its nuclear adventures. Now, North Korea's recently launched satellite is believed to be in a stable position in orbit, with an expert saying it's just too early to write the launch off as a failure. Now, this is according to a report on Voice of America, which cited an expert at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. The report says radar data and satellite pictures suggest the Gwanmyeong-song 4 has now positioned itself in a stable angle that consistently faces the Earth. The expert adds the satellite is partially operating, so there is the possibility it could be operating at full capacity. North Korea hasn't released any satellite pictures yet, and many still believe the satellite is unable to do so. A minor earthquake hit North Korea in the early hours of Monday morning, with no indication that it was related to any kind of nuclear test. South Korea's meteorological agency said a 3.1 magnitude earthquake struck at 5:17 a.m. South Korea time near Songlim City, located in North Hwanghae province. Now, the quake is not believed to be the result of a nuclear test, as it's located pretty far away from the North's Punggye-ri underground test site. A 5.1 magnitude tremor was detected at Punggye-ri, where North Korea conducted its 4th nuclear test on January 6th. Now, it was score 1 for the human. Korea's professional baduk or Go player Se-dol finally took a game against Google's AI program AlphaGo on Sunday. He just proved too powerful for the supercomputer, forcing it into a mistake or two that it was never able to recover from. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
Professional baduk player Se-dol finally scored a historic win over Google's computer program AlphaGo after losing 3 in a row in the best-of-5 competition. AlphaGo had been playing well until E's move 78, which threw AlphaGo off its game and ultimately its winning streak. AlphaGo's moves 79 and 87 had professional players scratching their heads.
I was a little confused when AlphaGo put its stone there. The move made it less likely it would win.
AlphaGo's developer Demis Hassabis also tweeted during the game that AlphaGo was unlikely to win 4 straight games. He also congratulated Se-dol for playing brilliantly, saying AlphaGo's chances nosedived after move 87. By placing a stone between AlphaGo's 2 stones, Se-dol held AlphaGo's stones captive while freeing its prison stones simultaneously.
I haven't really put any deep thought into why I made move 87. At the time, it just seemed like it was the only way to carry on. I didn't know it would be such a critical moment.
Deciding it was pointless carrying on, AlphaGo sent a pop-up message to the computer screen that read, "AlphaGo resigns," with only a minute left in the match. The 5th and final game between Se-dol and AlphaGo will take place in Seoul on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Korean time and will be broadcast live on YouTube. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, Korea's import prices went up for the first time in 8 months in February on the back of stabilizing global oil prices. The Bank of Korea says prices went up 1.6% last month from the previous month. The price of Dubai crude, Korea's benchmark, shot up 7.5% last month from January. Still, from a year earlier, import prices were down over 7%. Export prices in February also rose 0.8% from a month previous to that, as the Korean won weakened against the US dollar. The local currency depreciated 1.3% on month in February to 1,217 won against the greenback. Korea's largest conglomerate, Samsung Group, has seen its brand value rise in dollar terms, but its ranking has fallen a notch from last year. Samsung's arch rival Apple easily topped this year's list. Kim Min-ji with the details.
Over 83 billion US dollars. That's the brand value of Samsung, Korea's top business group. According to UK-based industry tracker Brand Finance, that's up 1.8% from a year ago and puts Samsung in 3rd place. Brand value is measured by taking into account various factors such as brand strength, brand loyalty, and brand revenues. The world's most valuable brand was Apple at $145.9 billion, up 14% on year. Google ranks 2nd, rising a notch from the previous year. Other Korean conglomerates on the list included Hyundai in 36th and LG Group in 102nd. And the wealthier these brands are, the richer their owners tend to be. But how many of the world's richest people are self-made billionaires, and how many inherited their vast wealth? According to the U.S. Peterson Institute for International Economics, in Korea, most of the country's biggest business groups have been passed down through the controlling families, with 3 out of 4 billionaires in Korea inheriting their wealth. That puts Korea in 5th place among 67 countries. Finland and Kuwait top the list at 100%, meaning all billionaires inherited their wealth, while in Russia, all billionaires were self-made. Taking a look at some major economies, only 2% of billionaires in China inherited their wealth. The corresponding figures stood at over 18% for Japan and 29% for the US. Worldwide, those who succeeded on their own have been on the rise. In 1996, the proportion stood at 44%, but by 2014, it reached 69%, surpassing the figure of billionaires who inherited their wealth. However, in Korea, the number is still relatively low at 26%. Experts attribute the trend to Korea's chaebol-centered economic structure and people's preference for stable jobs. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, the new tax-exempt individual savings accounts are available at local banks here in Korea and brokerage houses as well, starting from today. The government will offer tax exemptions on profits from the so-called ISA system of up to 2 million won. That's $1,600 at the current exchange rate. With this account, users can also manage financial products such as funds and stock investment accounts by signing up with a single institution. Now, amid fierce competition in the industry, the chief of Korea's financial regulator has vowed tough measures against sales of the new bank accounts without informing consumers of the structure, terms and risks. Authorities will set up infrastructure to track each institution's profits regarding the much-hyped product in order to boost healthy competition. Turkey is in mourning again after yet another devastating terror attack in the heart of its capital. Dozens were killed and more than 100 wounded when the suicide car bomb went off. Kim Mo-kyun reports.
More than 30 people were killed when a car driven by a suspected suicide bomber blew up on Sunday at Guben Park, a key transport hub in Ankara. Officials say the bomb hit a commercial area close to the Justice and Interior Ministries on Sunday evening, local time.
The car came near us. 10 seconds later, seats from the bus that was destroyed came hurtling towards us. I was hit by a piece of metal. I just remember the car being black.
A swarm of ambulances arrived at the scene and police helicopters hovered overhead as a large cloud of smoke rose over the city center. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, but Turkish security officials suspect it had been carried out by the Kurdish PKK or an affiliated group. The Interior Minister said they will release the name of the organization behind the attack within the next 24 hours.
As a result of our investigation so far, important evidence has been collected, but the organization responsible will be announced after the probe ends. I believe the investigation will wrap up on Monday.
Turkey's health ministry says the death toll is known to be at least 30, with more than 125 others being treated in hospitals around the capital. The death toll is expected to rise since almost 20 of the injured are in critical condition. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said terror groups were targeting civilians because they were losing their struggle against Turkish security forces. He said such attacks increased their determination to fight terrorism. The blast marks the second attack in Ankara in less than a month after a bomb attack hit a military convoy in mid-February, killing some 30 people. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News.
Now, voters in Germany have expressed their disapproval of Chancellor Angela Merkel's open-door refugee policy in 3 regional elections. The anti-immigrant Alternative for Germany party continues to gain more support, though. Park Ji-won has more.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats suffered a huge setback at parliamentary elections held in 3 states on Sunday. According to ZDF exit polls, the Conservative Party lost ground in 2 out of the 3 states. In Baden-Württemberg, which used to be the party's stronghold, the party's support reached an all-time low of about 27%. While Angela Merkel's party suffers defeat, a newly formed party representing anti-immigrant policies gained significant votes in all 3 states. The Alternative for Germany was formed 3 years ago, opposing the European bailout plan and open-door refugee policies.
It is the catastrophic policies of Chancellor Merkel which clearly opened people's eyes. This is the only reason why we succeeded in entering all state parliaments with 2-digit percentage figures.
The Populist Party has even stepped up as the second largest party in the state of Saxony-Anhalt, reflecting the German people's dissatisfaction with the incumbent government's tolerant refugee policies, which allowed more than 1 million migrants and refugees into Germany last year. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, just 2 days ahead of the mini Super Tuesday in the United States, Ohio and Illinois have emerged as battleground states. According to a poll by CBS News and YouGov on some 5,300 voters in Florida, Illinois and Ohio, the latter two there, Illinois and Ohio, are likely to become the game changers, since Republican and Democratic frontrunners Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have big leads in most other states. Now, Trump keeps his lead in the winner-take-all state of Florida with 44%, while in Ohio, that state's governor, John Kasich, is tied with Trump at 33%. In Illinois, Trump leads 38% to 34% over that man there, Ted Cruz. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton has a big lead over Bernie Sanders in Florida, 62% to 34%, and a slightly smaller but still very comfortable lead in Ohio, 52 to 43%. In Illinois, though, Sanders is polling 2 percentage points higher than Clinton. Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday lunchtime here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for watching, and we'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Until then, goodbye.